Fratelli, the Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast. Fratelli, the Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast.
Good afternoon, ciao a tutti, benvenuti, welcome in a new episode of Fratelli di Rugby podcast, Heartbreak and Hard Lessons in this 7th episode of the 3rd season. Mike, ciao, how are you?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. How are you doing? You well? I'm in good spirits, considering.
Yeah, seems pretty good. A little bit low my voice today, a little bit on the Barry White style, but not that deep, but let's see.
Yeah,
Otto during the night.
Yeah, Otto's been fighting off the sickness, right? Doing good though, mate.
Yeah, bit of that. Tomorrow, ready to go to school. Do some subs tomorrow, so pretty good. And the good news. We should start from the good news, Mike.
Yes. Go ahead, mate.
So we're gonna be in Genoa with the media for Italy, Georgia. We're going to be around with some Georgian friends there. Hope to see some of you around. If you're there, please knock on our shoulder.
Yes.
We're happy to share some ice ones together and to enjoy the day, because probably it's going to be a really fun day in Genoa for a really challenging game, by the way, because we have to respect everybody. So Italia, Georgia in Genoa.
Big game. It's a big game for us, mate.
Yeah, so we're gonna be there and come. I'm so excited. A lot of stuff to do. The Rugby Museum of Artena already started the new exposition at the Juventus Stadium, actually. So the climate is getting closer. More info, more stuff coming. The
building, isn't it?
Yeah, the team start assembling in Rome. So good stuff coming for the national team. It's gonna be the last part of this podcast.
Yeah, shout out to the museum as well, because they're doing their bit about educating, around the game as well. So like making an effort to, relocate a lot of those, let's be honest, timeless jerseys and timeless pieces that they have at the museum to try and educate the Italian public. Good on them. Friends of the pod as well, which is always good. So they're fighting the good fight.
Mike, last time we were there, we were also useful because we helped translating a couple of donations by Luis Moody to the museum. So that was fun. Luis Moody, Mirko Bergamasco, Corrado, because the host of the museum. Come on.
Yeah. We did our bit. Well, you did your bit as well, picking him up from the station as well. What a lovely man. Andy let me sit in the front. Oh, he's he looks at me and he was like, "No way is Mike sitting in the back. There's no way he's fitting in this car."
Yeah, it's a Volkswagen up, me, Mike, and Bergamasco in the back. It was fun.
Bless him, mate. What a good man. Okay. What a good man.
Sadly, we have to talk about this Heartbreak week, hard lesson week for both teams this week. One in a way, one in the other one. I think heartbreaking in a way, Benetton for those managing of those 5 minutes in a really tactical game, I would say too. And Zebre in the second half completely vanished.
Yeah, I mean,
to say where should we start? Zebre, Benetton.
Let's start with Zebre, I think, because like Benetton, there's probably slightly more sort of like positives to pull from that game. Yeah. But yeah, it was an interesting game. Obviously, Otto and I watched it live. So if you wanted to see, first of all, like our live reaction, or secondly, like a completely unfiltered bit, we do have some bits on Patreon that we recorded straight after. It was. I think it was a lesson learned, wasn't it, Otto? I think that's the tale of the tape. This weekend just gone. It's a big lesson learned, mate.
The expectation were high on this game.
Yeah,
because it's a Welsh team. Always interesting to play against them because we think at least that they are the closest one to what the Zebre can achieve. No, like it's easier maybe to try to win a game in Wales than go win against Glasgow or in Ireland. Just to say,
yeah.
it's what Zebre win in general too. But we were thinking there was much more fight, and we were not expecting this wide gap seen in on the performance side, but then the points in the score were really high. So definitely right.
I think the boys learned lesson this week as well. You know, they it's one of those where like you can blow against the against the brick wall. You know, you can huff and puff all you want, but ultimately sometimes it's about finding a way in. And this young team needs to find the keys to unlock the door, because like we can see what they can do when they're playing well, when they've got confidence. Obviously, you go to a place where it's going to be slightly more hostile. These guys are, you know, there's going to be fans shouting abuse at you, and you got to learn to, you know, flourish in those environments, because not everywhere.
I lost you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
I lost your audio, mic. I don't know if it's me.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I cannot hear you at all.
If any of you guys are commenting,
something coming.
If someone can comment and say if you can or can't hear me. I can hear you.
I don't hear anything. Yeah, come back and see if it's. Let me check
I'll leave
through.
and join again.
Okay, show mic, and let's see. I want to try to see from the YouTube if it's my fault, guys. No, nothing there. Let's wait for Mike back, because I was checking, sharing this in the meantime. What is hard to say about? Oh, here we go.
Can you hear me now?
No, I cannot hear you.
I can hear you.
You can hear me, nice. But I cannot hear you at all.
You leave.
And I didn't touch anything on your screen, Mike. Mike si sentiva? Ok, Mr. Gambero, Mike si sentiva. Io non ti sento allora. So, me ne vado io, Mike. Let's see if it works.
Oh, bit of entry and exit here, guys. The joys of live transmission. Grazie, Mr. Gambero. But yeah, I think, you know, it's one of those where we're going to talk about it a lot in the upcoming months. But I think there was a lot of learnings from both teams. But I think sort of Zebre we're going to talk about, and I know Otto will bring it up, is quite heavily at set piece. It's something that we just need to sort of really look at in more detail, how the boys are competing at scrum. And here he is.
No, now I can hear you. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, no, all good, mate, all good. So whilst you're just jumping back in, I said there's lots for us to talk about, but I think Tale of the Tape's going to be a particular thing that we've been banging on the drums for a couple of weeks. A lesson that needs to be learned, and needs to be learned quickly, I think, my friend. Let's see if we're both on the same wavelength. What is it? What's your Tale of the Tape? If we had to discuss 1 point for Zebre to improve drastically quickly.
Man, from where to start? Because those.
I think there was one thing where
scramble defense, chaotic.
Right, that's one.
That's one.
I went scrum straight away. That was my point.
Of course, Mike. Yes, we can look at the stats after six games. Talking about that. Yeah, we have all the stats ready and stuff.
Yeah. That's a point for the boys to focus on, I think. And you know, Brunello being the quality coach that he is, I'm sure he's banging those drums quite loud.
This was the second game with the most penalties conceded after round 3 against the Stormers.
What was the total tally in the end?
The Scarlets against Scarlets 14, Lions 10, Glasgow 12, Stormers 16. Best 2 games, the first 2, 6 each game against Cardiff and Munster.
Oof.
Both with a victory and a bonus point defeat. That tell you, because in the last 3 games, Zebre scored. My God, sadly, they scored only 20 points, and are 73 the points scored by the opponent.
It's mental, isn't it? It's just this URC season feels a bit different to the previous ones. Obviously, for the grand scheme of things, you know, it's been competitive for a long period, minus obviously a couple of teams who are, you know, either in a point of transition or just unfortunately on the decline. But it feels different because it feels like the Welsh teams are playing very, very well. You know, there's a lot of, you can see the dynamic change since some of the old heads have gone and some of the young players are trying to sort of really prove why they should have that shirt.
In the first 5 position of the turnovers won in the URC, 3 are Welsh teams.
I'm not surprised.
And then Leicester and Glasgow.
Again, I'm definitely not surprised.
Right. So yeah, but what you're saying is completely right. This is just for the stats, but turnovers won means that you fight, you get that pressure in some way, you get the ball back. So yes, the level it's something. The quality is high.
Yeah, and I think this year it just feels a little bit different, like to maybe the previous years. Obviously, again, you know, not to live off a single victory. Zebre were unlucky against the Bulls last week, and this week, after sort of
Lions.
Sorry, the Lions. Excuse me. Yeah. And this week it was one of those where we went in, like you said, with slightly higher expectation, following like a pretty good performance the previous week, minus a few mistakes. And Zebre are a team that need to be in it for a long period of time, because if they don't, either they overplay, which I think they were caught on occasion overplaying, throwing sort of some offloads, and I'm sure if we had Brunello Cam, there's probably a couple of times where he's throttling someone. But yeah, it's one of those where I think, you know, as soon as the game, you know, goes away from them, it's tough. It's tough. So, your thoughts?
Look, I will dig into some stats too, because they resume really well what we are talking about: scramble defense, penalties, scrum offense. So Zebre Parma is the team with an average of 5.8 penalties into scrum, 29 penalties, 18 Leinster, which is the second team. So there is a big gap, and this you can see it also in the penalties conceded. 64. Top tier is Ulster with 71, still 13 almost. We said that before. But on the other side, they are one of the teams that offloads the most, not like the Stormers, 70, 54 for the Zebre in 5th position, but are the team with the less tries scored this season, and they have 32 clean breaks with an average of 6, but they don't score. So they are not able to create. Also because they had 90 turnover lost in this season, 18 per game. And
That's
this
bad.
is the big issue, because you want to try to create, but you cannot score. And when you don't move the points there, it's hard.
You know what would be really interesting, just on those stats, you know, like there's ones which are glaringly obvious, but the one that you said at the end is probably the most important one. But it'd be really interesting to see a heat map on where those are occurring. Do you know what I mean? So in attack, 22. Yeah, we saw it. We've seen it a few times with Zebre. We've seen it with Benetton as well, but Zebre in particular, they do some, you know, brilliant little play in midfield to break the line. They get into the 22, and then either they do something like an offload or the ball's not protected, and it'd be really interesting to see sort of where those are
One
occurring.
move more, right? Even after clean break.
Yeah. We whilst we were watching, Otto and I were like, okay, recycle the ball. Okay, good, recycle the ball. Just, let's play some multi-phase. Let's find a space again. It doesn't have to be scoring a try straight after a line break. It doesn't always have to be that. So,
and it's not helping either. Like the kicking game was a little bit poorer, let's say. Some situation was unnecessary. Try to play in some way, to play more tactical, something that Benetton did pretty well, I guess, for the against the Bulls. But Zebre need this autumn window to have this kind of a mini camp. Hello.
Tyrone.
So I think it's really important now to put all the energies together in a positive way to get ready for the next games. They're gonna be almost the full team together, except this time Fratelli. But it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna get better and better together. They need to improve. And the scrum, Mike. Yeah, you said the scrum offense a lot. Scrum penalties won is the second team with less scrum penalties won, only 4. And this is another of those different stuff. Neither 1 penalties per game. Scarlets 10 penalties won in 6. And then there are more. Stormers the best team in this scenario.
Yeah. So I'm not to put you on the spot or anything, but if we had to pick a unsung hero from Zebre, who was the player that stood out, or let's say surprised you the most, right? Like in a positive way. It doesn't necessarily have to be the unsung hero, but who is someone that you saw some growth from the previous matches, or that little bit of quality which they may, like, they've always like threatened to show, but they haven't been able to express. Like which person grew the most? Because I think there's one in mind clearly for me.
Oh, you have one in mind clearly.
I have one. Do you want me to say mine, and then if you agree, you agree. If not, I think Jersey defensively showed a side that we haven't seen before. I know, obviously, it was
a lot more busy. Yes, was
that like also the way he, the way he aerially, he was pretty good when it came, and obviously they didn't even look at his wing. They just went straight for full score after sort of Cambriani got injured, and it became a bit of a long day, right?
And the situations, right? Yeah, maybe Jesse was the one that more solid in a certain way.
Yeah,
maybe there are, I'm sure, players that maybe they shine the most with the stats, but yeah, I agree, because you can see how he's working differently this year, Jesse. With all these issues and his strength, we know him, but you see that he's trying to, and that's, for me, it's something that brings values to the player, to his development, to his character too.
No, I agree.
Really like that.
I think we got a couple of South Africans ready for the Benetton.
Yeah, absolutely. But just a couple of things, Mike. This mini camp, okay, is gonna be good, but for example, didn't help at all the fact that they lose really early in the game 2-3 players, because Fischetti went out.
Cambriani went out.
Come on.
Yeah. So and they're impactful players. Like you lose your captain immediately. Looked like he hurt his ribs by looks of things. And then all of a sudden, if you're trying to play in a certain way and keep energy levels high until a certain period of the game, you're forced other players to come on, and maybe those players are being rested from the previous game and they come on a little bit leggy, and it makes a difference. It does make a difference. Like, it's the same reason why yellow cards make a difference, right? Because it takes minutes out of everyone's legs. So really valid point, and not something that I was going to mention. So good on you.
Talking about margins, penalties that change games. One penalty changed this game at the end, right? Because everything looked like was ready. The kick, last kick of Albornoz went out pretty happy, pretty smiley, because okay, job done, 5 minutes, we hold this, and then a little bit more than 5 minutes, then a penalty, and you go back home with not actually you leave your home because it was in Treviso, and Bulls get the victory, Mike, in a really tactical game.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm frozen, by the way, so I might have to quickly back in and out. But yeah, no, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's one of those where that ability to game, like a managed game, that's something that we're still seeing, mate, just constantly. Oh,
no,
hello?
I hear you, Mike. Let me see.
Okay,
you can try to jump in again, so you can
yeah, no
start
worries.
from there. In the meantime, I'm gonna Mike can try
if you don't mind booting me quickly.
I'm gonna do like that. In a second, let's see. 5 points. David Creel, probably the man of the match for the Bulls, I guess. We're gonna talk to Mike in a second after you get better. Guys, today a lot of issues online. Devon Williams did a good job. There was interesting to see that picture of Devon Williams and Reynolds Smith together on the social media after the game. What surprised me was the number of tackles recorded by the URC for Suamaile, the hooker. 16 tackles. That really surprised me. Best tackler of the game. 11 for Marcel Coetzee. Mamma mia, what a player, Marcel Coetzee. I love it a lot, man. That is really good player. Two defensive beaten by Papier and Menoncello. One clean breaks from the same players, Papier and Menoncello. And the centers, Creel on with the 5 successful carries as Menoncello. That was another thing. But all the situation, I will keep going while I'm trying to see if Mike is able to get in. That was the situation of that penalty, because maybe the game management, the awareness of the area where it was happening, that probably cost the game, because sometimes maybe in that situation you don't have to put so much pressure on that track trying to get the ball too. So that's, for me, is probably why it was so hard. It was a game where we have seen penalties like the first kick of the game, kickoff, the first penalty for that offload, and then the second penalties with a long range kick by Reno Smith, when we seen a Benetton player pushing a Bulls player that he tried to push again. Mike, here we go. Let's see if today we're gonna be.
Sorry,
we are
everyone.
Mike, I was talking about the penalties, how weird penalties we've seen, right? Like the second last, in the moment the referee called tackle, the ball came out right in that moment, and the first 2 penalties, the push of the push, something like that. But the Bernasconi one, it hurts, because probably you don't have to put so much pressure in track, right? Probably it's not that you see that you fall on your knee, roll. You know, they don't let you stay there.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's unnecessary. I understand, like, the temptation is always there, and sometimes it works out for the team, but sometimes you have to weigh up the risk versus reward, and like especially in a situation like that, it's just unnecessary. But you know what? Key learning for that young man.
Yeah. Another situation in the game where I thought they could have been better there in that situation was after a long kick, the ball roll over and Rhino take all the who was there? The fly off, I guess, in that moment. Well, and I saw Gallagher and Menoncello there. Instead of attacking that
You
situation,
shared
one
this.
we
Yeah.
had the situation. Then, if you see in the other chat, the Italian one, I post, for example, what Toulouse did against Toulon in a situation like that. Long ball, a lot of bounces, tackle on
Try and keep
the
them up.
catcher,
Yeah.
boom on the ground, pick and a penalty for you.
That or you literally try and hold them up and maul them out. Like they were what, like
Scrum
8
five,
yards?
kinda.
Yeah. Well, that or that's when they're close. Yeah, that's actually probably better than what I was suggesting. I was going to say pulling them out to touch, but like actually you're right. He was closer probably to the try line. So yeah, just push him out, get scrum 5, and those are the different. You're right. Like those are the key sort of game defining moments, and it's stuff where it's easy for us, retrospectively. I don't know what the players were suggesting, like, or why the players didn't attempt that. But yeah, you're right. That is a game defining moment. That could have been very, very different.
It was interesting later. They took the 3 points few phases after with Cannone under the sticks. That was interesting for me, going there in that way instead and trying to force the points. But anyway, really tactical game. We have seen Gallagher doing a really good job.
Yeah,
I
agree.
It was surprising on that, because
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting to see him there. But hey, good to know, right? For this Autumn International coming, that he can be a 14 and 11, whatever we need to.
yeah. Speaking of wingers, quickly, we've got a few to talk about, not in Benetton or Zebre this week, haven't we? We got Ange coming in, playing on 14 against
really well.
Yeah, against Toulon. He played. Yeah. Otto got a little snippet of him boshing Villiers as well. Capuozzo. Yeah, we're talking about the same man.
The same man. Something that we always wish for him to do. Yes.
Yeah. So can't wait for him to become a rugby league prop now. Now that he's now that he's got the Bosch, it's good. But no, joking aside, like particularly his second try, obviously you're always going to score tries on the wing with Toulouse, but like the second try, he had some work to do, and he looked good. He looked good. He and Dupont, clearly they've got some sort of decent relationship. Dupont was looking for him a lot as well. So yeah, man, we've got an informed winger talking about the autumn, mate.
There were wingers and some wingers home too, because look, it's crazy to think now Odogu home and Jesse home. But you have numbers, but you have quality, and sometimes it's gonna happen. And I hope, Mike, we will try to be used to this. Like that sometimes a good one is gonna stay home.
Yeah, well, that's it. And it's, we've never really been in a position where we're discussing depth as Italian fans, right? Let's be really, really honest. It's been, or at least as long as I can remember, maybe in 2012 there might have been some discussions, but even then I'm pretty sure we knew who was playing what and where.
Yeah, but the level seems so much closer between the players. Something before was
yes.
Let's say the really 23 and the 40 under the radar of the national team. That for me is something to right.
That's a really good point. We've got a decent crop of players here. Now it's about sort of getting them consistent, game time together and forging those relationships, and that consistency is going to be pretty key, especially if we're looking at this as a full cycle till 2027. There's, these players have the opportunity to do something really special. It's just going to be interesting. Obviously, as well, I think, it's one of those where competition drives competition. We've got 2 franchises right now, and it's going to be interesting to see what players like Locatelli are doing to like Andreani and Ferrari trying to like motivate them more and stuff. So getting that fresh blood as well, even underneath the players that we've seen as the franchises.
Today, Odiase post a video about his experience with the national team in the Pacific Tour. Today he posted. Pretty interesting. Not the day that starting the preparation. Let's say these days started the preparation. He posted during these days too.
Yeah. What do you say? I haven't seen it. What do you say?
Like pictures, videos of
Nice.
start with his passport, showing his passport, and then moves. So yeah, you can feel all around these players happy to
in the
to come
fringes.
back.
Yeah, just looking in, waiting for their opportunity. Nice.
Talking about opportunity and let's say challenge between
What transition, by the way,
of players in the same role.
Yeah.
Tommy Allen is a 10, is a 15 in this combination of between the wingers that we. How you
Hampton's
think?
going to put a hit on me if you keep asking me these questions, my friend.
I will. We'll put him 15 and no problem.
Yeah. I see him as I see him predominantly as a 10. But if he plays 15 any of the games, I'm not surprised. That's the point I was trying to make on the chat. I don't know if I made it very well, but he is probably going to play 10 more often than he is going to play 15. But if he plays 15, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not going to be like, oh, what's he doing there? Like, we know he can do it. We know he can do it at a high level. Some of Italy's best games under Crowley were him at 15.
He started at 15 with Quesada in the only game he played.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Is my honest answer, and he can play there well. You were saying as well, even before he was included, when people were speculating that the door was shut, including myself. You mentioned that he was playing predominantly 15. He was at USAP, wasn't he?
Yeah. Then a couple of injuries, and he moved to 10. But he started the season as a 15, and he started really well. So
yeah. So for me, I see him as a 10, but I also see him as a 15. I'm not too fussed, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we also shared again last time, but I would like to share once more some of our combos in the backs. We decided to
for him.
Yeah, we have 3 10s. We decided to keep Marin as a 10 because Quesada decided this summer that he is a 10. Roberto, our Patreon, is happy that Marin is gonna play 10, so hopefully we're gonna see him there. But let's see, Garbisi can play as a 12 too because he played so long time as a 12 in Montpellier. So our 10 can be a 12 and Alan can be a 10 and a 15. And then we go to on the wings. We have so many options because we have seen already Menoncello being played there too in other situation and in an area where Marin have played too. But anyway, we have Ioane at least on the left wing because we know that's the spot. Lainag able to play on both wings. When Merli was injured, he played on the left wing, and they moved something in the back row at the Queens. Capuozzo can play in the 3 position. The same for Gallagher. Not the fastest, but the long boot, the Pani-esque, right? That kind of player in some way, but more on Padovani style, as we mentioned many times, or at least the guys in our chat, in our WhatsApp group too, did 12-13.
Also,
Menoncello.
One thing I noticed here as well, Marin really could fit in, maybe not 13, but he could pretty much fit in all of those as well, couldn't he? As just utility, like he almost needs a separate section himself. Do you know what I mean?
Sadly for Roberto and everything, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Roberto.
The situation, but
Menoncello's almost like the opposite as well. He can do any of the positions, but fullback and 10.
Yeah.
just
Bertaccini is another one that I decided to put it only in the centers, but he played wing too.
Oh, he played wing, did he? Interesting.
Yeah. So we have
We
have him there. In case we need, Pagerello and Fusco are 2 players that we have seen on the wing.
Let's
Crazy.
hope not. Let's after last week, let's leave Paul Scott 9, please, my friend.
I didn't put it on the left wing because it was already so busy that I put only on the right wing and as a fullback, gang trulla.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the comment, Cloud. You're just
My God. Okay. Shall we talk about this? Shall we talk about this?
We have to, mate. So
Claudio, tu e Phantom, you and Phantom, one heart.
So for context, why I'm laughing. So there was
it's something that you see in the chat happens in this in YouTube is happening now with this commentary. Let's talk about this. Argentina has stolen Fratelli.
Right. So
where should we start?
Let's start with what our expectations were, right? As fans, as Italian fans. So you've done him dirty. But I think Otto, you summarized it really, really well on the chat, and I think it's only fair that you sort of say it again to the fans. Like, what are your thoughts on Fratelli? Because I think you speak quite well for me as well.
So I'm gonna add some stuff that I also hear from Josh, for example, because I totally agree with him. So
yeah,
Fratelli, the moment he came to Zebre was, of course, the prospect. The idea was to keep him for 3 years, more than 3 years, if the value of the player were high as a performance, scoring, leader in the team, all the skills that you want from a player. Okay, they get it 3 years ago in a moment where there was not that strong team and maybe money opportunity for the player to stay in Argentina and playing for the SLAR, the Superliga Americana, or the Super Rugby Americas, now how they call it. He moved to Italy, following the opportunity to play internationally, maybe. And we were hoping as fans that he was going like unseen by Contepomi, playing well. We know that the last game he played was actually against Georgia with Argentina 15, almost 3 years ago, because he can be an Italian international player starting by July 2025.
Yeah.
So, is it an opportunity? Yes, because you hope as a fan, as a club, Zebre club, maybe they're happy anyway, but the team wants those kind of players to represent their colors, their jersey, their history, the brand. And Fratelli was that. Is that kind of player. We talk about him so many times. But he's the player that decided at the end, because he has two opportunities, as a lot of other players did for us in the last couple of seasons.
No, I agree, and I think you summarize it really well. For me, I saw a spot for him in the national team. Like, I could see where he would fit in. But the reason I laughed at your message, Claudio, I put a post up saying, "Damn these Argentinians picking their own players! How dare they?" That's sort of the point. Like, who is sort of a bit arrogant as us as Italian fans to say, right, like, why would you play for Argentina if you can play for us? Because they are a fantastic side, and it was one of those. That's why I was laughing so much about it, because, like, how dare they pick their own players? As soon as they come to Italy, they are ours. And it sparked a bit of a discussion as well, which we're not going to fuel speculation, but there was like discussions about how potentially he might have been suggested to someone, or this, that, and the other, in terms of like Fratelli. But I think he's I think regardless, he is a fantastic player. He deserves to play for the team that he wants to play for. He's given blood, sweat, tears for Zebre. He deserves to play where he wants to play and who he feels more comfortable representing. And also, let's be honest, this opens up doors for him, because if he starts, playing well, successfully, then maybe there's a place for him to go to France, or like maybe that's the next step for him, and his life and his career and his family. So just all the best to him. Just want to keep seeing him what he does with Zebre, and that door isn't always shut until he's capped. So yeah, good luck to him, mate.
He's
Either
not
way,
the first player that goes into camp and then is not being capped. Look at the Dogu, look at the line.
Yeah, and also like Ben White and Callum Redpath. We could pick like loads from England. It's just it's weird. It's it's weird that we don't manage to do it, I suppose. But
on the other side too, if the Zebre get players that can be potentially international, or they are Italian heritage, they can represent Italy in some way, is always good, because if you want a development team, as seems to be now Zebre, right?
Yeah.
We were thinking that, but we won the victory, okay, but is a developed team. Of course, you have to get Stabile, you have to get Volpi, the Italian, Anglo-Italian, maybe one day the Argentinian Italians, and everything that they can fit, and they are in some way they can be the future of Italy, or maybe the intermediate. Let's see, the middle step before move to Benetton, because this is happening too.
Well, yeah, that's a really good point, and I think as well, we've always been of the opinion that Zebre should have young development players, and ultimately when they get to a certain level, like you said, maybe it's Benetton, maybe it's not, maybe it's abroad. And I think Vincent is a perfect example, right, where Vincent had a few games for Zebre. We always saw what Vincent could be. We always knew what he could be from underage, and instead he took a unconventional route, because obviously he went to Exeter University and played in the Bucks, and was picked up from there. But realistically, that is the stepping stone. Like what he did at Bucks is realistically the stepping stone that Zebre, because let's be really honest, had he played the way he's been playing, he would be in France probably by now. He might be in the Premiership, but it's more likely to be in France if he hadn't have gone to university. So there are players that are probably knocking on the door now in terms of quality that could be going. Fischetti, obviously, no brainer, right? He probably has been approached by French clubs. But also, we're now looking at, potentially in the future, we're going to have a look at like Darre, if he keeps playing the way he's playing, that maybe he's the next person to go abroad. And then that opens up more time for, the next under 20s 10 to play. And it's one of those, mate. Like we've got abundance of talent. We just don't have the players to play them, and they can't develop if they're not getting game time. So again, we're in that constant loop, aren't we?
It is the constant loop. So
let them step away, let them go abroad. When they get to a certain standard, good, like the Argentinian model or the Georgian model, or like the other successful teams that in and around that.
Or Mike, send it to Zebre, Pippo Drago, no? We always think about him, that he didn't play yet. So, but there is another example.
That one hurts. Yeah. Well, yeah. If there was better collaboration between the two franchises, then yeah, it would make no sense. It make short. I don't know how it works with, maybe the URC rules, but why is there no sort of short-term loans if you know that he's not going to play the next 4 games, for example? Send him as like some form of like short-term loan to Zebre to play 4 games, get a bit more time under his belt, and then make a decision.
True, absolutely true. Mike, a couple of words on the internationals game, because they start already. How you see this start? My God, England, New Zealand.
The England New Zealand game this weekend, or the Japan New Zealand game?
No, England, New Zealand, Japan, New Zealand. Pretty.
You don't talk about that, do you?
Pretty there. Come on.
Yeah, New Zealand. Like quickly, just on New Zealand before we continue. Like, how are they not knackered? Like, how are they getting? They're getting what, 5 games this autumn? 6 games this autumn?
They have a lot, yeah. I think
Well, because
so.
they're also playing Munster, aren't they? So like that's another game.
Yeah,
So
but I don't remember if it's the like New Zealand, or is
I think it's New Zealand. I think it is genuinely New Zealand.
okay.
Um,
Large squad, they will do it. They will probably have 2 games, depending what they're gonna do.
oh,
This
is it All Blacks 15? Okay, my apologies. If it is, then
Josh.
um,
But still, it's interesting because
it's not
New
the Maori
Zealand,
then.
everything depending by what they're gonna do in this game, England, and the next game, to see what kind of team they're gonna put against us.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the England game is going to be a bit of an acid test for them because England ran them close, like in a few, well, in the couple of the games in the summer. It's going to be interesting to see sort of they're a different team now. They've got a lot more games under they're going to be a different beast, and New Zealand's always New Zealand. So it's one of those where like as soon as you're complacent.
And to go back for a second, so I'm gonna try to connect everything. England is not gonna have like, yes, he's there, but he's not there. I don't know how to say, Felix Jones.
Mm-hmm. He's remote.
He's from remote. Is he gonna be by remote for Munster soon? You think, Mike?
by remote, I imagine like them putting one of like his iPad on a robot, and it's just like FaceTime everywhere, like just walking up and down.
Restaurant, all AI stuff.
Just that's it. Just like someone's controlling him with a remote control, and he's like, "Get me close to the player so I can see what he's doing." just oh mate, that'd be brilliant. Hey, maybe. I mean, there's been a bit of a surprise change, I would say, for Munster. I think, it's tough, isn't it? Like, as soon as you lose to Zebre, there's always a threat that people are going to start turning against you, and then obviously a couple of unfortunate, decisions. And who knows? Maybe they did it specifically because Felix said he was interested, and that forced their hands. Like, Japan, like Eddie Jones and Australia with Dave Rennie as an example. So I don't know.
They
mate,
forget completely. Like, come on, they won a URC title, top of the ladder at the end of the last season, anyway.
Yeah. So it's an odd decision.
Ungrateful.
Yeah, it's an odd decision, mate. It's an odd decision. But then again, maybe Felix was always in their plans, mate, and maybe that's the reason as to why.
Another coach that has been sacked is the Italian former defensive coach under Mallet, Exeter coach, which is Omar Bonet, the South African coach. So,
I mean,
a lot of around.
Yeah, I got a soft spot for Exeter. I sort of get that one though. Like, again, probably triggered from a loss to Newcastle 2 weeks ago, right? The first win in 700 and something odd days, right? Almost 2 years. So it's going to be an interesting one. But I did want to ask you something which is a little bit off-piste, which is, did you hear about the central sort of, well, I say central contracts, the match fees for England? Have you seen this?
No, tell me.
So this has now come out. There's been 17, I believe, offered out of 25. It might be less, and might be 15 out of 23. But England, the way they do their match fees is it's normally a lump sum, and they get some like image rights as well. But what the RFU are doing now, and partly this is to support the players. It's like the French model, really. It's to support the players, to support the clubs for the PRL. Is they are offering basically annually 12 times match fee. So it's like 150 or 180,000 or something along the lines of that. And the players don't have to play. So if they're injured, they still get that money. Obviously, they won't get the image rights, but if they so that's what they're offering. And what in change, like the exchanges that they get, basically more say in like rehab and when players go out before the autumn internationals, etc. And it's players that you'd expect to see. So it's like Ford, Smith, and Smith as an example. Those three. Mitchell, another one. Ellis Genge is another. So players that you'd expect to first team players, right?
Yeah. I titolari.
Yeah.
Starting.
And the reason I'm asking you is, do you think that there's something to be said for that from the federation to make sure that we're keeping our best players in Italy? Because realistically, what that means is it's a supplementary. It's outside of the salary cap. It's 180,000, and it means that they were concerned that these players have been approached by French clubs and they want to keep them. And we know, because like Smith, for example, it was everywhere that the French wanted him. So is there something to be said by that? And imagine maybe some of these players that are playing in France, like Lucchesi, for example, going to Zebre. Like imagine what that could do for the team. Like what are your thoughts on that?
On one side, I think some players want to go play abroad. They want that experience, so they want to try to do that. Some other player, maybe that can be like a safety spot.
Yeah.
Think about like a Fischetti.
Yeah. Perfect example.
Brex,
Yeah.
Lamaro.
Yeah.
Bruzza.
Yeah.
Well, let me think. Other in Italy.
Menoncello would be another perfect one, because he's wanted abroad, isn't he? So yeah.
Maybe,
those are the players.
Those players you want to, maybe they want to live in Italy. They're great in what they are, but thinking in that way you can preserve them. That is something, right? You can.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting
idea. Happening, right, Mike? Because you see how they manage the international players in this 6th round, so you can see that there is a kind of work.
Yeah. It's interesting though.
No, it is. Also because I don't know how good is like the taxes, all that situation for players in Italy.
Yeah, that's true. I just like, obviously I know we're planning on wrapping up, but I just think it's something that I thought, and I was like, how does this fit into Italian like rugby? Like, is it something that would benefit us? Obviously, it's not really central contracts because they're still owned by the club in theory. But then I thought to myself, what happens if 7 of the 23 get injured, and then you're having to pay 180,000, and then plus the match fees to the other? It's not really thought out. It could really put them in danger as well on the other side. So, but it was an interesting concept, and I just wanted your opinion on it. That's all.
No, it is, and probably there's gonna be more and more of this hybrid situation, maybe coming. Some private is gonna put some more money on, like they start doing it now, right? You see the singular sponsorship for players. So they have a special sponsor, and the team get money.
Yeah, I've got to say, actually, there's one thing that I didn't mention, but when I was at the Quins Saracens game last year when it was played at Tottenham, the what's his name, Massotti, the Sharks owner.
Yes,
he sponsors a load of Saracens players.
Oh,
like he sponsors loads of them, which I found quite weird. Yeah, Josh is right.
Maybe.
That's right.
I'm wondering how many jersey of Capozzo Italy can sell if they start putting the 14 or the 15 on the back.
Yeah, no, a fair amount. Are you gonna bring a shirt? Is it gonna be one with 8, just 8 on the back for Genoa?
I have some 6. I don't have the jersey with an 8 on the back.
Well, I need to find. I might have one for when I played Essex. So I'll find one for you, mate. Got a nice one
like that. Good. Anyway, Mike, see you next week. we're gonna maybe do a little bit more about this England-New Zealand game and going into the deep into Italy, because we are almost there, really, really close to the game. So
That's right. Want to
thank
see it
you,
anyway.
everyone. 137 in diretta live, 8 on YouTube, 129 on X. Come join us on YouTube.
Come on,
so
YouTube.
You can help us. Come on.
Come on, YouTube. Yeah,
guys,
if you like what we're doing, if you don't mind quickly skipping to YouTube, giving us a like, giving us a share. Obviously, we're just trying to grow, the English speaking Italian rugby, and we do it because we love it, but it's always nice to get some help from you guys. So if you don't mind, you have a couple of minutes spare, if you don't mind jumping over, giving it a like, maybe a comment. Actually, here is something that you guys should comment on. Who do you think is going to be our starting back line, just the back line for this coming international window? Because this is a massive debate at the moment. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So if you can do that on the YouTube channel, that'd be brilliant.
I will do some graphics too about that. Yes, the back line is the more integrated
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy because you have so much option. That's it. Probably only the 12 and 13 are they're sure of what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Then the rest, let's see. But thank you again. Listen us on Spotify from tomorrow, I guess, because we have time to download and post it. And you can follow us everywhere, of course. Mike, buonanotte.
Buonanotte.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Fratelli, the Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. Fratelli, the Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast.